I'm very glad to see so many faces that I've seen during these past few days and to see many faces and souls that I haven't. So this is the last day that I will be here in Mumbai, and I have had a really wonderful time of sharing some of Master's vibrations with you, and I hope today we can together draw down his vibrations of love and inspiration, and that these enter into our hearts and in some way touch us and change us. A few days ago, my first satsang here, I told a little bit about the story of coming on to the spiritual path, which was in 1969. And I mentioned that for the first 3 years that I was living in the community together with Swami Kriyananda, Jyotish Devi, and other great souls, I was not sure. In fact, I was quite confused as to who my guru might be. I had arrived at Ananda in its very earliest years, and I had not read the autobiography. In fact, I didn't even know that this meditation retreat out in the forest was in some way connected with somebody called Paramhansa Yogananda. So it took me 3 years to sort it out. And the first part of sorting it out was to understand why in the world I would need a guru. I was young at the time and relatively, presumptuous. And you know how we are when we're young, there's nothing that we can't do, and we can accomplish everything in our lives ourselves. I was one of the ones who would always say to my mother, "Mom, I can do it. I don't need your help." So I just really didn't think I needed any help in life, and I could achieve anything that I wanted. So that was the first step that I needed to come to a deeper understanding about, is why in the world I need help. And I came to realize that there are things in life and goals and achievements that are far beyond our own capacities. It's important that we develop our free will and that we achieve. That's extremely important, because when we come to the path of discipleship, we need to bring something. And what we need to bring is a well-developed willpower and sense of ourself and a sense of independence. I really feel that we need to arrive at that point of independence before we join our lives with our spiritual guide. And so it took me time to figure that out and really to come against things that I was not able to understand by myself, or able to see, or able to plan for, and so forth. And then it came the next step of, well, who in the world is guiding my life? Basically, it's, who's worthy to guide me? The ego is, very strong in all of us. And so it took me quite a while to figure that out, and also to come to an appreciation as to who is Yogananda. I must admit that at that time, I didn't come to a full appreciation of who Master is and what his place in our lives and his place in society and his place in history is. I've only come to understand that slowly through these many years of trying to attune myself to him, and especially through serving him, through Guru Seva. Now, I firmly believed that I needed to make a choice. And so there were these, it was the early 70s, and many Indian swamis were coming to the United States at that time. It was a very special moment. Swami Keshavadas came. You probably don't know these people. From the Shivananda lineage, Swami Satchidananda came, Swami Vishnudevananda came, Swami, and on. Swami Muktananda came, and they all came through Ananda. because they wanted to see Ananda and also wanted to bless Ananda. And it was really, I remember when Swami Chidananda came. Do you know Swami Chidananda? He was the successor of Swami Shivananda Saraswati of Rishikesh, and such a great soul, really. So humble. And he came, I just can see it right now. It brings tears to my eyes. He came, and it was just a meditation retreat. It was a humble little wooden temple, and Swami Kriyananda invited him in, to speak. And before he went into the temple, he prostrated and pronamed at each step of the temple, saying, many saints have passed over these stairs. And I was saying, what saints? It's just us. And hardly anybody else has passed through, but he was just, and he came and looked at our activities. I remember that I was at the time working in our organic gardens, and we knew he was coming, so we cleaned everything up, and we invited him, and I was his guide at that moment for the gardens, into our tomato garden, which was really our pride and joy. It was just so beautiful, everything in nice rows and everything. So he circumambulated our garden, 3 times, a form of blessing, which I didn't know about. But anyway, I was walking with him, and we were going on the first turnaround. We were going up on the left side, and we came to the place in the garden where we had this huge barrel that had fertilizer in it. It was actually cow fertilizer. And we used it by taking a very small can and, dipping in. Well, the garden was beautiful, except the can was rusty. And he just stopped, he looked at it, and he very quietly said, "You should paint that can. Tamasic energy draws lower entities." So anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you the story, but it was just a real special moment. So in those early years, I was knowing Keshava Das and Swami, all of these, and I would go to satsangs with them and be inspired. And then I tried to figure it out, which one is mine. Okay? And that was just so presumptuous because, of course, the choice isn't ours. The choice of who our guru is was made long time ago, and not even made by our guru, because it is God himself who assigns his children to certain of his advanced children to take care of. And that's it. It's like the guru doesn't even have a choice. So there, I'm thinking, I have a choice, and then only a long time later did I realize that that God had chosen me and the others to be guided and protected by Paramhansa Yogananda. We see this in the life of Jesus. A guru, when he comes, doesn't wait for people to come to him, but goes out and actively seeks his disciples, because a guru is given a responsibility by God. That responsibility is to take certain children through all of the turmoil and confusion of their life until they reach self-realization. And in every incarnation, the guru has to actively fulfill that work, that compito, that mission. So if you're familiar with the life of Jesus, we see him, the first time we see him as an adult is when he comes down to the River Jordan and he meets his guru, John the Baptist, asks for Diksha. And after Diksha, he goes in search of his disciples. He just begins walking. He goes to the Galilee, and he begins to gather them one at a time. First there's Andrea, and then there's Peter, and so forth. And we see this in the life of our Guruji, of Paramhansa Yogananda. He arrived in the Western world exactly 100 years ago, in 1920. And he spent years and years traveling all over the United States. It's just astonishing how much he traveled. And giving his love and vibration and putting it out there and drawing his disciples to him. And we have been drawn, many of us, perhaps not all of us here, but in one way or another, we have been drawn by the Guru in this incarnation. And it's not important if the Guru has a physical body or doesn't have a physical body, because the way that he draws us is through his love and through his vibrations, and he uses many instruments. When Jesus left his body and left his mission, which was to become a world mission, and a mission not just for a short amount of time, but actually for millennia, okay, who did he leave? Okay. He left 12 apostles, one of them betrayed him. He left 40 kind of close disciples, and he entrusted them with going out and spreading the good news. And it was through those disciples that people came to their Guru, and that continues to this day in the world of Christianity. Some of you were just perhaps on the pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Anybody here who was there at that? So quite a number of you. So you feel a bit of attunement with that. But that guru-disciple relationship gets passed down through the master's great disciples. In Italy, we have located our community near the city of Assisi, which is where St. Francis was born. St. Francis is perhaps the best known saint of Christianity, and a saint that Master said was the most highly realized. And so St. Francis, as a channel for his guru, Jesus, continues to draw disciples to him. I'd like to mention a few things about who these gurus are and what our relationship is to them. I mentioned that Jesus has a mission that carries on for thousands of years. And Jesus came in the depths of Kali Yuga. So he was the voice of truth, the channel of light, of Sanatana Dharma in the darkest age. Okay. Now, the age has progressed. And we read in Swami Sri Yukteswarji's book, The Holy Science, that it is now Dwapar Yuga. Now, all of these masters, including Babaji, who is immortal and is going to carry on and has been around for many yugas, but our masters have all come at the beginning of Dwapar Yuga. So they're Dwapara Yuga avatars. And they have a special mission, which was to bring the science of Kriya Yoga, or self-realization, into the world at this time for the future. At this moment, humanity is able to receive these high vibrations and work with energy and learn Kriya Yoga, which is not done in a physical but in an energetic way. And their mission is destined to go on for this yuga. This yuga is going to last a long time. And we are in the same position that those apostles were to Jesus. Now, Jesus left this world at a very young age. He was only 33 years old, and he entrusted his disciples to carry on a work that has lasted for 2,000 years and will continue. Master left his body at a relatively young age. He was only 59 years old, and he entrusted his disciples to carry on his mission. Master said that self-realization is the religion of the future. Now, what did he mean by that? An organization called self-realization? A particular sangha? No. He meant that religion in the future will be based on self-realization. that all religions, whatever they call themselves, whether it's Islam or Christianity or Jainism or Sikhism or Hinduism, the realization that we need to have personal contact with God in our own life, day by day, that is going to be the basis of all religion. Okay? Now, this is a very important mission on their part. We see so much strife and polarization today. It's concerning. It can even be frightening. Now, how can humanity overcome this strife, this conflict between people? It's only by realizing and finding, the peace and the love, the tolerance, the acceptance inside ourselves. Once we realize that God loves us completely, and respects us. Okay? And until individuals have that experience, there's no organization, there's no law, there's no conference that can bring that about in the world. So, in a way, to save humanity from destroying itself right now, it's important that people have the experience of their higher self. So this is what these masters came to do. And there's Master, he's at the end of the line. And he even said, I am the last in the line of Kriya Yoga masters. So what does that mean? Does it mean that nobody will ever become a master after Yogananda? Well, that would be real discouraging, right? Why would we follow a path that's supposed to lead us to self-realization if there's no hope? I think what Master meant was that the vibration, the energy, the form, the thought form that needed to come into this world has been imprinted here in the ether through these masters. And now it's up to us. It's up to us to realize God in ourselves, to experience His love for us and to begin to share that with others. If there hadn't been those apostles and those disciples of Jesus, the world would not know the path of Christianity. Buddha didn't have many disciples, and yet Buddhism has spread all over the Eastern world. Those few disciples in the first generations were the ones who became the channels for their guru's mission. And those of us who are sitting here and sitting in many other places in the world of Yogananda's disciples, it's us. He has chosen us to come at this time in his mission to be the channels of spreading the joy, that liberating possibility of self-realization out into the world. Okay. So we are the pioneers of this movement. And we have, let's say, the opportunity. I kind of want to say the obligation, but we don't want to feel obligated and duty-bound. Let's just say that we have the chance of being in the first wave of disciples to really serve our Master and to be the instruments of self-realization for the whole world. And we have that chance. It's such a beautiful chance. When in the early years we really struggled, it wasn't easy establishing the Ananda World Brotherhood community, and this was one of Master's great dreams. And it was, day by day kind of slogging through mud. And Swami would say to us on different occasions when it got really rough, he was saying, it's hard right now, but you pioneers will be especially blessed. Others will come later, it'll be a lot easier. And we see that now. People come to Ananda, there's houses, there's water, there's roads, there's hot showers, I didn't even have an indoor bathroom for 10 years. So, but he was saying, you're going to be specially blessed, because of the sacrifice of building something for others. And this is the opportunity that we have to serve the Guru. The chant that we sang this morning, how will I love you with every breath I breathe? How will I serve you? How will I worship you? How will I seek you? This is the opportunity that we have. It's like the full immersion, the full commitment. And when we put ourselves out there as being an instrument for the Master's mission, he will, just like Krishna with Arjuna, he'll guide our lives as long as we're there actively. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is discouraged, puts down his weapons. And Krishna says, you're a man. Stand up. You're a kshatriya. Fight. And when Arjuna does stand up and say, you are my guru, tell me what to do, then Krishna takes him on to victory. It wasn't because of his prowess. We know that there were greater archers on the face of the earth at that time, the great tragic hero Karna being the main one. Arjuna didn't win the battle because he was the best. He won the battle because he recognized his guru and he gave himself to fighting for the light. This is the great opportunity that all of us have. And I hope that each one of you will, in your life, experience the enormous joy that comes of serving the Guru and his mission. Jai Guru.